Welcome, my friend, to Next Level Change Success. I'm Therese Pares, a change strategist and practitioner with over 20 years of experience designing and delivering impactful change programs across various industries. In this podcast, I share real-world practical strategies to help you create and deliver positive change experiences, whether you're a leader, practitioner, or someone looking to bring new ways of working to life. In today's fast-paced world, change is constant. Here we focus on how you can put people at the centre of your change strategy, because people with a sense of purpose are the most important link in driving performance. So if you're ready to create meaningful change and achieve all the success that comes with it, keep listening. Together, let's change the conversation and take it to the next level. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Next Level Change Success. My name is Therese Pares and I am the founder of myvirtualchangemanager.com. I'd like to acknowledge that I'm recording on Therese country and pay my respects to the traditional owners and custodians on the land on which I am recording, to elders both past, present and emerging. Welcome to 2026. Yes, unbelievable. It seemed that 2025 is just yesterday, because it almost quite literally was. And I want to talk today about what's this year going to bring. Every single first episode, I guess, of a season is about the year that is coming up and themes that I believe are going to be prevalent in the change space this year. And of course, I'm going to talk about, some of them might be bleedingly obvious to you, but I want to talk to you about them because these are the themes and how to lean into these this year. So change is an ever ongoing cycle in organisations. And at the end of last year, I saw again the job market really start to lift at almost oddly a time when at the beginning of the year it was difficult. I could see that there were jobs getting advertised, so many applicants, quite crazy. But towards the end of the year, a lot of roles were being sought after. And I think a little bit of it was trying to find talent in the space, when a lot of people, a lot of changes, if they'd secured jobs or change practitioners, were not really looking to move because of the instability and uncertainty in the market. And so definitely this challenge of finding real talent in the change space. And part of this, I feel like the job market this year will continue to be constant. And the reason why I believe this is because the change that's happening in organisations, there is an economic strain on organisations at this point in time across the globe, really. And what that means is that the investment in projects and programs, probably a lot of that's getting really challenged. But on the other side of it is that you can't afford to spend $1 in an organisation and not realise the benefits of $2 back. And I think in episodes in past seasons, I've talked about this around return on investment as one of the reasons why you do have change people on projects and programs, because they're keeping their eye not just on delivery, they're wanting to make sure that the delivery is effective in the project space. The other thing to talk about is, so you've got the ability to buy in the skill sets via contractors, consultants, other ways, establishing permanent positions if that is what the model is that the organisation has appetite for. But the other thing is to develop change skills within existing staff members and team members. And the important thing to note here shouldn't just be change skills. You also need the ability for the business also to run continuous improvement pieces of work like a project, so that you're not wasting money in having a business as usual, I guess, projects run by subject matter experts who don't have necessarily the broad-based project and change skill sets as well. And that's really important to make sure that that investment is clear, and that the investment in capability isn't in just training, that it is about your ecosystem and really looking at your organizational ecosystem and say, are all of the 6 areas for success set up for success? And these areas include your communication channels robust, like do they exist? Are they effective? Do we need to evolve those? Is your learning and development area as advanced as it should be around being able to have micro learns, for example, existing for the organisation so that people can get bite-sized chunks? Have we structured it where training time is committed to on a regular basis, which is also part of our retention strategy and development and talent development strategy as well? And then ensuring that from a change capability perspective, are we clear on the model, the language, how we want to embed this, and what are we doing about making sure our leaders are across this? So not from a change leadership perspective, but also awareness about the program itself and the commitment to the program itself, so that they're part of the journey and on the hook as well to develop their people with change skills, not only to be developed themselves, but definitely to develop other people, which would in turn mean that from a cultural lens, if you're looking to really mature your organisation from a change perspective, you want to start bringing certain language to the fact that you need to build this capability in your organisation, leveraging your existing values framework, leveraging your strategy and incorporating that about, it's not just about what we want to do, it's about how we're going to do it, and it's about the rhythm that we want to get into with the business. The other important thing is to really know and understand the cycles of your business if you're going to mature change in your business, which I believe is going to be a big theme in 2026, more so because of the economic pressures and because of that need to work efficiently and to work where you can adapt to change, and your staff and your team members can adapt to change better than they ever have before. And having that as a headline in your organisation in association with a portfolio of work or in association with the roadmap for your organisation is important to highlight it. Don't assume that people get it. If you're saying, oh, we're just going to be doing this change stuff, you need to really have it as a commitment that we're going to build this muscle. And why? Because it will make us more competitive for all of us to understand, embrace, get really aware of being able to develop change intelligence in the organisation. And these are all themes that at my virtual change manager that I talk about, and I've been talking about them for the last couple of years, but they're becoming more and more prevalent, and I'm definitely going to be unpacking a lot of these themes this year. Now, of course, on the tech digital landscape, the AI evolution that's happening, so the forcing of organizations into the AI conversation. What has happened, and this happens with most evolutionary processes, is at the beginning it becomes a shiny. It begins something that people talk about but don't actually understand when they're talking about it, and understanding the effort that it takes to integrate AI into a strategy. Board members might want it, leaders might want it, certainly team members might want to get across it, but the reality is that the running of AI from a cultural perspective, that program needs to be articulated in a sense of how do we integrate this way of working into our culture, into our organizational culture. And that also means obviously structure, what does it look like from a structure perspective, but once again, understanding what's the cultural hook here. Why are we doing it? Why are we doing it now? What's in it for us? What's in it for everyone? But also, what change journey are we going to go through when AI is introduced? And every single organization is going to have a different answer to that because of structure and the current state, the ways of working. And so this is something that's really obviously picking up speed. You can see it in banking without doubt, and seen some of the stop-starts that have happened in organizations in the last year, where potentially they've dove into the deep end but then had to quickly get to the side of the pool because they've needed to take a break, get a breath, and then possibly go back into that deep end again. So this is something to consider in a measured way, because from a tech landscape perspective, if organizations have been avoiding spending on tech and not bitten the bullet, then they can come unstuck in trying to get into AI too hard and fast if the foundations aren't there. So part of it is, how do you run these parallel journeys if you need to in that space? But definitely that conversation is going to ramp up this year. And in some ways with the AI horizon, I don't think some people even know how far this can go. So, and certainly I think if you think about the first smartphone coming into the world, like certainly where what we could do on our smartphones now was not where it started. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen with AI. So very, very exciting. And that is absolutely a change horizon of huge magnitude for the world. The other thing to talk about is obviously the political landscape from a change perspective, and it still is volatile. And through 2026, I wouldn't expect that that's going to be any different this year. I feel like that's going to continue because of the leadership landscape. It's a little bit like if you think about the micro in an organisation versus the macro of the global community. If you had leadership that was fragmented at the senior levels in an organisation, it's a tough time. It's turbulent waters, people having different opinions. Some people maybe heading off into their own direction, others trying to lobby for support, and a bit of infighting. And that can happen in organisations during cycles, and that's essentially what's happening globally. And if you think about, well, what's the sentiment, or what's going to be the fallout of having so many different political opinions in the world? And obviously currencies and economies are really looking at how they can shore up their own positions, and some how they can take advantage of this volatility. So part of it is also understanding the effect that can have on the individual. And cost of living in most countries is a big topic of debate. Now, why do I talk about that in the change context? I talk about because of your individual employees and team members, and not always assuming that people are immune to this. In fact, if anything, you should be considering within organisations that people might be struggling, and that kind of financial support and what financial support program you're putting around your employees. If you're not looking at, you can talk about health and well-being and the mindset of people and how you're supporting that. But at the end of the day, financial management, financial support, what do those programs look like in your organisation would be very, very relevant, would be very, very appealing for attracting talent and retaining talent. So thinking about that as a priority for families and how that works is something to consider from definitely your people perspective. And that's why I talk about that volatility, because that certainly is a pressure, and everything goes through cycles, but there needs to be this awareness that there's almost this widening gap between those who are doing well and those who aren't, and then how that works and what support an employer could provide their employees, whether it be through education programs at this time, as I said, as part of a overall retention strategy for talent and for employees who just simply need support. The other thing, and really let's narrow down then on focus from a change perspective, is the need when efficiency is a real driver, which it is in a lot of organisations when pressure is on, that then the need for change support increases, as I opened when I talked about the resourcing options for organisations, getting return on investment. Looking at capacity within your organisation is really key, and that's another lever of efficiency, is ensuring that things are being delivered but also embedded, and that they're reinforced, that there's enough of a lag after delivery and support. And you want to make sure that after delivery that adequate support is given for an adequate period of time, and that there's acceptance criteria from a change perspective as to whether an initiative is actually complete, and celebrating more than just delivery and starting to change the narrative on delivery as a success measure, and leaders really changing the narrative of we celebrate delivery and we celebrate a go live to we celebrate when our business has adopted and is utilising the change that we introduce. And that means everyone playing a role in that, not just leaders. And I think there will be a lot of focus again on leaders this year and what good leadership looks like, and whether you have enough representation and momentum in the leadership space. It's more than just a leadership program that you would put in. It would be a change, once again, maybe a cog in a culture-based program around leadership. And without doubt, across all organizations, there is always that need for leaders to connect. And so don't have it just as a training intervention or a capability intervention that you're bringing your leaders together. You actually need that as core in your rhythm. And if you're forming up a change program, then regular connections, regular connecting activities, regular buddying, whatever that looks like in your organization. But you really need a program around strengthening and building relationships from a leadership perspective, even down to allotting time and how much time do you dedicate to having your leaders genuinely connect. If you do that, because the issue with too much change and too much fast change in an organization, and it lends itself to a capacity conversation, if you're not creating the space in which leaders are connecting that you can tap into from a change perspective, you're simply just not going to achieve the return on investment in your people, in your projects, even down to what your talent can offer through good ideas. There's just such a missed opportunity all the time around being able to commit to a multi-year program, and not just a training program, not just a development program, as I said, a whole structure for leaders around bringing it into the DNA of the organization, from talent acquisition through to development, connection, belonging, through to promotion, movement across the organization, to really hone in on that and roll out such a program from a change perspective would be part of an expected return on investment in and of itself, and a program to do that. And there's such an opportunity in all organizations to do that, but it definitely depends upon the executive leadership cohort and their appetite for it. But putting it into play will reap rewards without doubt. For many indicators, where the indicators have gone south around feeling a sense of belonging, I feel valued, I feel like I'm at purpose when I turn up to the organisation. So all of those typical engagement survey indicators, which can be a bit stagnant during times like this, if not decreasing. And many times they will be dismissed from leaders because it'll be a thing that's mentioned of it's just because of the recent changes we made, or it's because of the fear around AI or whatever it may be around, that's why they're saying job security. But the reality is you can have a really invested sense of belonging through really big times of change. And certainly I've mentioned it before, but I've absolutely run a change program, and we have seen those indicators go up at a very, very volatile time during structure changes in an organisation. So you can absolutely achieve more of a sense of commitment and belonging even during big times of reform or change or redesign. And so important that there lies the opportunity this year, because without doubt there will be big changes continue through from 2025, 2026, just insofar as how organisations are responding to this economic environment. And the opportunity comes down to doing it differently, doing it well, doing it in such a smart and savvy way that you could really maximise the opportunity that sits within organisations this year. So a lot. Yes, absolutely, change is going to continue on, and it will impact your ability to be efficient, to deliver things. So this capacity conversation and the ability of the organisation, I just keep honing in on the opportunities to do it differently this year. That is what a new year brings. And just for yourself, if you're listening to this for your year this year, just have a think about, if you haven't yet through the holiday period, around how you want to show up this year, and whether you want to develop your change skills, your change leadership, if you want to learn about a different way of doing things that you haven't looked at before, if you work in projects, or even if you're what we call a subject matter expert who's worked on many projects and who actually always delivers change because you're sitting in a support area. So your skill and expertise might be in one of the support area functions, and you might want to upskill and find out how to run a change program end to end, get some intel, get some hints and tips. Then come to myvirtualchangemanager.com and sign up for the newsletter, sign up for the courses that we'll be running this year. Come along to webinars, and we're running a number of webinars this year about various change topics. Come along and learn and add the skill sets to your business skill sets. They are a perfect complement. Change, how to run change, how to work with stakeholders, how to create a change comms plan, how to deliver that, how to measure the success, how to learn from it, how to understand the dynamics of organizations, and also who you're being, how to reflect on how you're showing up to get the results that you're getting at the moment. And if in 2026 you want to get different results, you want to get, it might be better positive feedback around how you're introducing change. You might want an easier path to introducing change if you need to influence another team to work a different way. Then the courses I've been developing and designing, they're for you. They're for you to leverage, for you to participate in, and for you to learn not just about frameworks and process and how it works, but also about examples of this is what doesn't work, this is what not to do, as well as how to reflect on how you're showing up so that you get an easier year of it in 2026, and then continue to build on those skills through trying things, testing things, seeing how it works, seeing how it fits. It's kind of like a new jacket and saying, okay, does this really fit? Do I like it? Do I like the way it looks? And do I like the same type of style jacket but maybe in a different colour? These are the things that life gives us the opportunity to learn, and if you're in the change space and if you're working with other people, then you have an even better opportunity to learn. If you're leading other people, well, yeah, you got to get trying on different jackets to see what fits and works, not just for you, but also for what your team needs and wants from you as a leader in 2026. But all in all, this is going to be an exciting year. So I hope you've had a great break and you're having a great break, connecting with your family, connecting with yourself again, so that you can have a great year this year too. And think about the habits you want to bring into your life this year. I think the whole New Year's goals and all New Year's resolutions, not much of a fan of New Year's resolutions, but certainly around what are the small changes that you might want to make, which could make a big difference by the end of the year. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging in here. Subscribe. Please leave reviews. I'd love to hear feedback, so jump onto the website and email me. Love to have conversations about change with you. So I look forward to celebrating this year with you, talking all sorts of topics. Welcome to Season 5 of Next Level Change Success.